Have you made and cooked a pizza that's come out soggy and raw? We can fix that if you follow these tips. So let's sort that out. And if you are new here, welcome, I'm Ellie, and I've been reviewing and cooking using portable pizza ovens since 2017, starting with the original Ooni 3. So you've stretched your dough beautifully, you've topped it, you've given it the final shake test, and it's glued to the peel. You try to wiggle it. The moment that moisture hits your peel, the flour you dusted down absorbs it. The longer it sits there, the stickier it gets. But there is an easy fix. Use semolina flour or rice flour. The coarse grains of semolina act like little ball bearings, keeping the dough separated from the peel's surface. Don't overload the dough with wet toppings, and place the stretched pizza onto the peel before you add the toppings. As long as you cover the peel with semolina first, before you pull on the dough, the pizza won't stick. And after topping, once you're ready to launch your pizza into the oven, but you just give your peel one final test. If it moves, you are ready to go for your pizza launch. But the biggest problem for soggy dough is moisture overload. It really does make a huge difference if you put too many wet toppings on your pizza. Moisture overload stops your pizza cooking at the same time as everything else on the pizza. So you'll find that you'll have soggy dough, but the crust and the base around the edges have cooked, and possibly some of the toppings, but inside in the middle, you'll find there's just soggy dough, but we can sort that. If you love toppings like I do, you don't want to go over the top of the toppings. You need to keep it simple, and less is more, because it's not a standard cooking oven. When you use these high heat pizza ovens, it's not like using your normal standard electric oven. This pizza oven will cook very quickly in 90 seconds, and so you need to put toppings on there that will be able to cook or heat up in that very, very short time. And it doesn't give you enough time to cook off the excess water from the toppings that you're putting on there. So you will need to ensure that the toppings are already cooked, are quite dry, are dry enough to be heated up in 90 seconds and not go into the dough. So it's really important that your dough toppings, your pizza toppings, do not wet the dough, especially if it's hanging around on the dough for a bit of time as you wait for your oven to heat up. They will slowly absorb into the dough, and you'll have a very sticky dough, which will be difficult to get off the peel for your launch. And also when it's in the oven, it'll just stick to the stone, and the juices will go into the stone, and you'll end up having half your pizza stuck on the stone before your first turn. I think we've all been there. So your water that the dough can absorb to make it soggy is coming from three main sources. Your fresh mozzarella, particularly buffalo mozzarella, because that's full of water, so you'll need to drain that before you use it, otherwise you'll end up with pink slop on your pizza top. Your tomato sauce, try not to use one that's dripping in water. I chop up my tomatoes from a tin. I've got more tomato than I've got like the wet water sauce. And also keep your tomato sauce minimal. You don't need to have it completely red on top. Again, less is more. You just want the flavour of the tomato sauce, not like a lasagna layer of tomato sauce. And wet vegetables like mushrooms, they can hold water. I cook my mushrooms before I use them and before I put them on pizza. And bell peppers, they're another one. They take ages to cook as well. So if you put them on the pizza uncooked, you're pretty much going to have uncooked bell pepper. They don't cook in 90 seconds. And then so what happens is the water leaks into the dough, preventing the crust from reaching the temperature needed for that perfect crispy finish. So stop you getting soggy dough, drain your mozzarella. I use block mozzarella, it cooks really well in a high heat oven. And also with your sauce control, use high quality thick sauced tomatoes and drain away any excess water. Those are the key tips for you to enjoy the taste but not to smother the pizza dough. Another helpful tip is the foundation of almost all burnt and undercooked crusts is the stone temperature. You look at the dial on your gas oven or the thermometer, you think you're ready, you launch, and 60 seconds later the pizza is raw on the bottom and burnt on the top. So what happened? You need to measure two things, not just the ambient air temperature, which is what the built-in thermometer reads. Then you need to use a laser thermometer to check the temperature. Because for a quick cook Neapolitan pizza, the stone must have enough thermal mass to instantly cook the base of the dough. Get an infrared thermometer, and this is so important. In fact, it's vital for you to get an infrared thermometer to cook pizza in a high heat pizza oven. Preheat your oven for a minimum of 30 minutes or until a stone hits 430 Celsius, 806 Fahrenheit in the center. And that air will heat very quickly. The dense stone takes time to absorb the heat, and you want a consistent temperature between 400 Celsius to 450 Celsius. If your stone is too cold, the base will be soggy. If it's too hot, the base burns instantly. And so if you don't know the temperature of your stone, you're not cooking, you're guessing. So don't guess. And now we're going to deal with the most important aspect of soggy dough, which is actually the dough. Don't ignore the type of dough that you're using. Don't ignore the type of flour you are using, because not every flour is the same. If you can get hold of it, use pizza flour. Using all-purpose flour to get a Neapolitan style pizza isn't going to work as well. That's because pizza flour is milled extremely fine. Aim for 60 to 65% hydration. This is the sweet spot for easy handling and great oven cooking. I choose to use blue Caputo flour. I love using it. I've used it for years. Every time I cook pizza, this size is like perfect for my needs, and I get it online. Once you've got your flour, which is really important, then you will need to do a window pane test. When you've made your dough, there's the window pane test. So when you're stretching out your dough, you will just gently stretch it between your fingers, and if you can see the light through it without it tearing, your gluten structure is ready to go. If it tears, it may need more kneading and some rest. So however you decide to proof your dough, room, cold or from frozen, just ensure that the dough gets back to being warm rather than cold before you stretch it. I struggle so much with cold dough in the winter, it gets super hard to stretch. Summertime is so much easier because it's warm and the dough is warm and the dough relaxes and stretches much better. And that was the main reason why I started out making pizza in 2017. Bought a mini pizza roller, one of these. I think I bought this like 6 weeks after I started cooking pizza because I realized I wasn't great at stretching. I was stretching in temperatures that made it difficult to stretch pizza. I invested in one of these, well, like £3.50, and it's been perfect for those cold winter days where the temperatures are lower and I find it difficult to stretch my pizza. When it's really warm outside, the dough is much easier to stretch. I don't need to use this, but for the days where my pizza is playing up because it's gone too cold too fast, then one of these has been invaluable, and highly recommend getting one because they're such good value as well. They're really budget friendly and super easy to use, and you can roll your pizza out without going over the crust, and I've got a video on how to do that in the link below and above and at the end. The other thing that usually happens when your pizza is launched, I've taken my eyes off the pizza and I hadn't noticed in those few seconds that my pizza's gone pretty scorched black at the back. This is the mistake that leads to that common problem. Half your pizza is perfect, the other half is charcoal and it's soggy in the middle. And this can happen in all pizza ovens. It can happen in gas, wood and electric, much less so in electric. But it can happen in electric. If the oven develops a hot spot, normally at the back, then the chances of doing this are high unless you are on super high alert. When you launch the pizza, the side facing the heat starts cooking instantly and will burn within seconds if left stationary. So once the pizza is launched, do not wait for the crust to look golden. At the front, you have to check the back, and you've got approximately 20 seconds before the crust closest to the flame begins to burn. So when you get to that time where you feel that the crust is cooked at the back, you will need to do your first turn, do a quarter turn, and then do that turn every 15 to 20 seconds. Check it, turn it, check it, turn it. When I was beginning back in all those years ago, when I started cooking pizza, I turned more than I needed to because I would rather turn it rather than burn it. If you can hear like huffing and puffing, it's my black lab. He's hanging around me, sleeping, and he's going, turn it, don't burn it. If you see one side browning too fast, pull the pizza away from the flame. You are the oven manager. Use the entire space of the stone to cook your pizza. And successful cooking is not about leaving the pizza alone. It's about constant micro adjustments until that pizza is perfectly golden and leoparded all the way around. So there you have it, the problems of soggy dough and the solutions of soggy dough solved. If you fix these things, the wet launch, the moisture overload, the temperature guesswork, the dough hydration and the turn not burn, you should have a perfectly pro pizza cook. My final tip is practice makes perfect. If the dough sticks, throw some semolina under it and keep going. If it burns, turn it faster next time. We learn more from the things that go wrong than we do from the things that go right. But the only thing left for you to do is to get out there and start cooking your pizza. Put this knowledge to work and no more soggy pizza dough. I hope you found this video useful. Check out all my other videos in the playlists in the description and on my homepage of the channel. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, and subscribe and like. Bye.